ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्बोधभूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ Verse 35. न व्यापित्वाद्देशतोऽन्तः नित्यत्वान्नापि कालतः न वस्तुतोऽपि सार्वात्म्यात् आनन्त्यं ब्रह्मणि त्रिधा. So Vidyaranya has now come to the final description of Brahman, the fourth feature of Brahman, that is the Brahma Lakshanam, Sarupa Lakshanam, that is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Brahma, etc. And well, it is this whole discussion of the chapter 3 is based on the Brahmanand Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad. And well, so here in verse number 28 to 36, we are discussing this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And first he explained the word Satyam as a Sakshi Chaitanyam, witness consciousness, witness of all negations, and itself is unnegatable. Well, and therefore, Jnanam, the Satyam means which cannot be negated, Badarahityam. So, unnegatable negator. So, that is, that is called Satyam. So Brahman is Satyam Brahma. Then he pointed out Jnanam Brahma. He does not explain, of course, this word because he has already dealt in verse number 13 to 22. And he says here Swayameva Anubhutitvat in verse number 34. Ityadi, starting from that. And that is there in verse number 13 itself. Swayameva Anubhutitvat, etc. And Swayam Anubhuti Swarup means it is in the form of experience. Brahman is in the form of experience. Therefore, there is no need of a special experience of Brahman. In fact, by nature it is experience. By nature it is consciousness, definitely. And therefore, without consciousness, no experience takes place. And that consciousness is all the time therefore experienced. And therefore, Swayameva Anubhutitvat, just because of its nature of consciousness or its nature of experience, it is Jnana Swarupam. And here Jnanam, we will have to, take an extra note that here Jnanam is not Vritti Jnanam. We call as a cognition, etc. Because how do you know that it is not that Jnanam? Satyam Jnanam Rantam. So that Jnanam is not Vritti Jnanam. Well, Vritti, because basis is if Jnanam is, if a particular cognition, it has a beginning and end. And therefore, because it is born of through the means of knowledge. So even a part cognition, other cognition, all the cognitions are born, right? When the pramana, means of knowledge, contact a particular object, then it is generated, that knowledge. So it is anityam, which is impermanent. And therefore, that cannot be this nature of Brahman. Why? Because Jnanam Anantam Brahma, it has been told. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So Anantam means which is have no limit. Which is of no limit, which is not born, which is not gone, which does not have an end. And therefore, definitely this Jnanam cannot be Vritti Jnanam. We call generally in Sanskrit, we call Vishesha Jnanam, particular knowledge. This is called Samanya Jnanam. Brahman is nature of consciousness, is called Samanya Jnana. Samanya Jnana means is a general knowledge. General knowledge means not GK. In India, they GK. So that general knowledge, all history knowledge and that knowledge, that is also Vishesha Jnana. General knowledge means it is of the nature of knowledge. It's of the nature of consciousness, because of which only all cognition takes place. Pratibodha viditam matam, atmana vindate viryam pratibodha viditam matam. We have seen that. So, and this is that there are two types of knowledges, and this is what a general knowledge means. It is Samanya Jnana, nature of consciousness. And even what about Brahma Jnanam? Okay, Brahman is Jnanam, but what about Brahma Jnanam? Brahma Jnanam also is a particular knowledge. It's a cognition. It's also Aham Brahmasmi, etc. is a Brahma Jnanam. That is also born. Well, definitely through Pramana, right? Through the means of knowledge called scriptures. So it is born, and therefore it is gone. If Brahma Jnanam goes, then well, what will happen? Nothing will happen. What will happen? Nothing will happen. You need not have to remind yourself that you are Brahman. Are you reminding yourself that you are a human being? Right now, when you are listening to this, are you doing the japa that I am human being, I am human being, I am human being? Let Swami tell that you are Brahman, but I should not forget. Or I am a husband of so and so, or I am father of so and so. Let me keep on reminding. You need not have to remind. And therefore, that kind of a vritti, you should not have to entertain a particular vritti. You know, once a jnanam is generated through vritti, that will sustain. It will come in chapter 9 of Panchadasi itself. So once you know a thing, you do not have to do, like you know this is a pen, I think before 50 years perhaps. Should you have to remind yourself constantly, this is pen, this is pen, this is pen. So when you go for food in a dining hall, because there you see all the things and you forget this, right? You won't have a vritti of this pen. Pen cognition won't be there. The cognition of sambar will be there. Then what? Will you forget that? No. So that is how it is. Once you know you are Brahman, that's all. That vritti will go away. The cognition will go away. Leaving behind a clarity in you that, well, you are nothing but the Brahman. And therefore Brahma Jnanam also is anityam. Brahman is nityam, but Brahma Jnanam is anityam. Brahma Jnanam is also mithya, by the way. Everything is mithya. The one Swami who talks to is also mithya. And the Shastra is a mithya. Everything is mithya. You are a Shishya also is mithya. Everything mithya. Brahma Jnanam also is mithya. Only Brahman is Satya. Means all are mithya, means you are putting into dustbin or what? Mithya cannot be put into dustbin. Understand that. Mithya is Satyam actually. And that is how it is mithya. What is the name and form is mithya. Well, pot is mithya, means are you throwing the pot? Well, you understand that there is a substance right there, and that is clay. When we denote anything as a mithya, understand we are pointing out the reality which is there itself. So mithya is non-separate from satyam. Therefore mithya is satyam. Mithya is satyam. Well, you say the snake is mithya. Well, it is not any kind of thing. Well, you realize there itself there is a rope which is adhisthana, which is a basis for that, which is truth of that. So definitely, this Guru is mithya, that is mithya, that is Shastra is mithya. Well, means everything is Brahman. Brahman alone manifests in the form of a teacher and disciple and Shastra and what? All the vrittis also. Brahmagara vritti also is nothing but Brahman. Everything is Brahman. And therefore, well, so this is regarding Jnanam. And which is dealt already in verse number 13 to 22. Now the third word, Satyam Jnanam and then Anantam. And he explains this Anantam in two verses, verse 35 and 36. And yesterday we saw verse number 35, in which it has been told that Brahman does not have threefold limitations actually. And so there is no special limitation, space-wise limitation, time-wise limitation or object-wise limitation. And since it is all pervading, well, it does not have a special limitation. Very space is Brahman. Very space is Brahman. Now imagine, space is Brahman means what? Even in your mind, Brahman, when I say Brahman is all pervasive, I am sure you are trying to see Brahman in your thoughts everywhere like that. Don't do that job. You are that Brahman. Never try to see the existence and consciousness somewhere else. Everywhere it is a property. Oh, Swamiji, I would like to see existence in that. And I am able to appreciate existence in that, but I want to appreciate consciousness in that. Need not. Why should you worry about that? You should not worry about it. You are that. Therefore, the Brahman which we talked about as a Jagat Karanam, that Brahman is myself. But here existence is there. I am able to appreciate. But it's a property. It's a property. It looks as a property. An existent clip. Therefore, you are saying non-existent clip. Well, consciousness also you are saying, you see some conscious being, a person. You will say he is a conscious being. Then you will say he is an unconscious being. So, well, consciousness, unconsciousness, you are using as an adjective, it's a property. So, never appreciate it that way. I would like to see the all-pervasiveness everywhere. All-pervasiveness is you. So, if you want to see everywhere, then why are you not including yourself? If you are not including, how it is going to be all-pervading? And if you are doing like that, then I will also follow you. I will also say Brahman is all-pervading. And the third fellow says Brahman is all-pervading. And his 60, whatever the number of people in the world, well, all will say, well, Brahman is all-pervading. And then Brahman will be Chota. I tell you, that Brahman is Chota. You are a conscious being, that consciousness is existence. Appreciate it as I. Whatever, if you won't include I, the Vedanta is useless. Totally useless. If you give me a 3 hours lecture on Brahman, excluding yourself, the whole knowledge is just a knowledge of a parrot. It's a parrot knowledge. It is like studying Brahman in some university. If you can't include yourself, well, that knowledge is totally useless. It's just academic information. No more it will help you. Because you take yourself to a small individual, an insignificant guy, and then everything else is big thing. Everything other than you is very big, all the time threatening you. That is not going to help. Abhayam pratishtham vindate. Well, the Brahma Jnanam can give you abhayata, well, fearlessness. That is only possible when you are Brahman. Otherwise, it is not possible at all. So never try to appreciate, even though we talk about this is also existent, this is also existent, and this is consciousness, and this is consciousness. My mind remains outside to appreciate consciousness and existence outside, living behind me. Live it there itself. Live it there. Just live it there. Include yourself. Then you are able to appreciate. Yes, you are not able to appreciate because this dear body, I am not able to live it from that I am not able to subtract it. And therefore you yourself, when you say I appreciate consciousness, I appreciate existence, etc. And then you take yourself with the body. Well, the Brahman Jnanam has not entered at all. And therefore it never appreciated that. Don't go in that line itself. Even though Brahman is all pervading, we say, and sometimes we say, well, everything, existence is everywhere and this is everywhere. But consciousness you cannot appreciate. I will give you another reason. If you say everything is conscious, okay, so you are able to see consciousness. You want to say that? You are able to see consciousness? Then for that consciousness becomes an object of your knowledge. Whether it is consciousness or inertness. If consciousness becomes an object of your knowledge, Swamiji, I am able to appreciate consciousness everywhere. What about you? What about you? If consciousness becomes an object of knowledge for you, you are able to see Brahman in form of a consciousness everywhere, living behind you, and it is an object of your knowledge. It is inertness. It is not consciousness. You can never see Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Nityam, Gandhavat. That is not consciousness. If you are able to appreciate consciousness outside, it is anatma. It's anatma. Atma is consciousness, Atma is Brahman. And so leave aside that thing. I want to appreciate consciousness everywhere. Leave aside, right there. Otherwise, whole of your learning of several years goes in vain, goes in drain. And therefore, just wherever consciousness you want to appreciate it, you are the consciousness which is, everything is non-separate from you. You are not able to appreciate anything without consciousness. Try to appreciate. Try to prove the existence of anything in absence of consciousness. Try to prove. Try to prove. Everything, including the space and everything, is in consciousness. And therefore, well, you are that consciousness. And therefore, wisdom is learn to appreciate Brahman, leaving aside body, etc. And that is how we have to start. Not this way. I am an individual. Outside is this Brahman. That's not the way. Atmanatma Viveka starts here. It's here. This body which is very dear to you, that body is anatma. Start from here. Atmanatma Viveka starts from here, not from world and you. Well, this world, well, I definitely is anatma and I am atma, but including the body. No. Then you will not be able to appreciate Brahman. So you are, once you say I am embodied, well, how will you say you are all pervasive? Anyway, so word anantyam is a special limitlessness. And time-wise, well, limitlessness. Object-wise, limitlessness. So, well, basically, and object-wise limitlessness also we have seen because there is no second object to limit. Once you say there is another object other than Brahman, then definitely there will be a object-wise limitless, limited being, but that is not there. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrittika ityeva satyam. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. Everything, just whole creation is in the form of words, nothing else. There is no substance at all. Pot, the name is there, but there is no pot, substance. There is no meaning of the word pot. So the entire creation is basically is nama matram. Namadheyam is nama matram. Just in the it has a basis in the tongue. All names are there. There is no substance. Substance is just existence consciousness, which is you. And therefore, vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrittika ityeva satyam. So there are pots and pans and all the names are there. But well, just as the clay alone is the substance, same way Brahman alone is the substance. And therefore, there is no other substance, no other object which can limit Brahman. And therefore, and like other way also, we have seen in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, etc., etc. So just as you can't count a bangle as second object different from the gold. Somebody asked me, Swamiji, how can you say that ornament does not limit the gold? Well, bangle name, particular name and form is there, and there, well, that bangle name and form definitely limits the gold, but no, it does not limit the gold. Name and form is limited. Gold is not limited. Gold is available in another thing also. Gold is available in third thing also. Therefore, that bangle cannot limit the gold. Please understand that way. You may think bangle cannot limit the gold, means gold becomes limitless. Therefore, everywhere gold. Not that. Bangle does not limit gold, means gold is available independent of the bangle. And therefore, it assumes another form, a ring and other form, chain and other thing. That way. So, well, but bangle is limited. Definitely, bangle is limited. Gold is available elsewhere, in other name and form, in other bangle also. But bangle is not available. So, therefore, gold does not have a vastu paricheda, object-wise limitation, which a bangle has. It doesn't have. Bangle is definitely, a chain and bangle. Well, the chain is bangle is not chain. But bangle also is gold, chain also is gold. And therefore, gold is, comparatively, we call it gold is not having an object-wise limitation. And so, sarvatmyat sarvarupatvat, definitely. Gold is a sarvatma of all ornaments. Gold is in form of all ornaments, and therefore gold is limitless in terms of object-wise limitation is not there. So, Brahmani tridha anantyam, Brahman has this threefold limitlessness. Now let's see number 36. Deshakalanyavastunam kalpitatvacha mayaya nadeshadikrutontosti brahmanantyam sputantatah. So same idea, well, he conveys here in a different manner. Three types of limitations, right? We saw that three types of limitations which are caused by the space and time and second object, etc. Now here Vidyaranya argues that Deshakala and any Prapancha Padartha etc. also can't cause a limitation to Brahman, because they are of a different order of reality. So which is we call as empirical reality, Vyavarika Satyam, we call Mithya etc. So a Vyavarika Vastu, empirical real thing, cannot cannot limit a absolutely real thing. This real thing cannot be this kind of a Vyavarikam. Anyway, but let's talk, let's keep it like that. But then why are you using this word? Why are you using this empirical real and absolutely real? Why are you using? Because one, you believe it, it is real. That's how we are saying it is real. Otherwise, we are ready to say, we are happy with the word mithya. We don't want to go further. We don't want to use even empirical reality. And mithya is one which is available for transaction. And therefore it is Vyavarik. That's all. But you consider it as a real. So we say, okay, take it as a real. But this is a lower order of reality. That's how we have to say. Otherwise, we are not ready to say, because real thing cannot be two. Real thing is only one. Satyam is only one. And therefore, so a Vyavarik Vastu can't limit a Paramarthik Vastu. Like a dream elephant. We can take another example. Dream elephant cannot restrict the movement of a waker in the room. Right? He might have seen in a dream that the elephant is there. The very first thing is how an elephant entered in a room. That itself is a question. So that itself is a big question. Some person say, elephant entered. An elephant entered. Where? In my ear. So anyway, so this is like elephant. You see, this is how the dream is. It's a fancy. Dream is basically it's whatever you can't fulfill in a waking state, those all things all you can fulfill in definitely in dream. And therefore this you may see elephant in a dream. You see elephant in your room, but definitely when you wake up, it is not there to restrict your movement etc. And so that is how means it cannot limit your movement. So, or when a person, let's say, travel in a train and he gets at that middle berth, in India you see that. Then, so how much? Then he gets a dream and he feels that he has come with a lot of luggage, etc. And he's putting all the luggage on that berth, and then how will I sleep, etc. And that is how he is feeling. But when he woke up, then he found that he is sleeping. And there is no luggage at all. Only one bag is there, and that is also in the in the bottom. So it is not there. So even in dream you see there is a lot of luggage, and it restricting your movement for sleeping. But when you wake up, you find that luggage, which you are having in a dream luggage, let's say, cannot limit the movement of this waker. And so, definitely a lower order of reality, a thing which possesses a lower order of reality, cannot limit the thing which is of a higher order of reality. So, Deshakala Anya Vastunam. So, Vidyaranya does not say Deshakala Vastunam. Otherwise, we will take Vastu means basically Brahman. In fact, Puja Swamiji all the time was using a word. For Brahman, he was all the time using word Vastu. Because Vasati iti Vastu, which basically, which is there all the time. It's called, Vasati also has a meaning of a Asti like thing. Or Vasati Asmin iti Vastu. That way also, which dwells in everything. Or everything dwells in that. Either way. Either the whole Jagat dwells in this, or the Brahman dwells in everything. As essence, as Atma of everything, as a self of everything. Either way. Or Vasati iti Vastu. There are Acharyas give a different kind of a derivation. Anyway, so Deshakala Vastunam it is not telling. Otherwise we will include Brahman also. So Deshakala Anya Vastunam it says. So it is other than Brahman. With all the objects and all the objects of the world. Maya Kalpitatvat. Well, they are Maya. Maya Kalpitam means Mithya. So they are mithyas or they are vyavarik, satyam, etc. So deshadi kritaha antaha nasti, limitation. Deshadi krita antaha. Antaha means a limitation. Deshadikritantah, limitation caused by Deshakala and other things. And Vastu, that kind of a thing cannot limit the Brahman. Why? Because Maya kalpitatva, because they are mithya, Brahman is Satyam, and therefore they cannot limit. So Brahma Anantyam Sputam, threefold limitlessness. So is told here is Sputam. Sputam means it is clear. Tatah means from that. From that means from this kind of understanding that everything is born of a Maya, space, time and everything, and all the objects which are born of Maya, of the lower order of reality. Brahman is Satyam, higher order of reality, and therefore they cannot limit Brahman. Tatah, from that it is clear that Sputam is clear. From there it is clear that Anantyam, Brahmani Tridha Anantyam. Brahman has a threefold limitlessness. Threefold in terms of space, in terms of time, and object wise. So that's how with this verse 35 and 36, word Anantam also has been explained by Vidyaranya, and that's how Brahman is called Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So fourth feature also is over. Well, you are saying fourth, but what are the three features? That you have to tell me. Since many days we are discussing, so you should tell me. What are the three features? Well, first thing is Brahman is distinct from all Panchakoshas. And the second thing is Brahman is resides as a witness in all the Panchakoshas. And the third feature we discussed, which was most important, is that Brahman which is distinct from Panchakoshas and which is a witness residing in all the Panchakoshas, that Brahman is Atma. And that is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Like that, Brahmanand Valli, where all the four features are there, all the four features have been discussed. So as such, teaching of Brahman is over, and therefore Vidyaranya should tell Purnamada, or we should tell Purnamada, but he is also not telling him, we won't say. He is adding a few more verses as appendix here, and let's go to that. Verse 37. Satyam jnanam anantam yat brahma tadvastu tasya tat ishvaratvam cha jivatvam upadidvaya kalpitam. So in this portion, Vidyaranya adds one more topic, which is your favorite topic, I suppose. So until now we have seen that Brahman is limitless and Satyam Jnanam Anantam, etc. That Brahman is Atma, which is I. So secondless I. I has no second thing. There is no second I. That's all it means. So I myself is called Atma or Brahman. Now he says, well, everything is truth. Means there is a non-duality because there is no second I and all that. So there is non-duality. But there is no fun in non-duality. Really, there is no fun. Fun will be there when there is some drama or something will be there. Then there should be other characters. Then what? But he alone is there. So then, what will he do? He wants to have a fun. That he means that Brahman. Well, wants to have a fun. And what will he do? He should create someone else. Then the whole drama will begin. That's what he did. And therefore, so he puts on two veshas now. Two costumes for a drama. One is a Jiva Vesha, another is Ishvara Vesha. We call as a Upadi actually. One is a Veshti Upadi, other is a Samashti Upadi. Upadi means a Vesha, costume, etc. Or Dasa Vesha and Swami Vesha. Costumes or roles, let us say, roles of a drama, you can say. So even though I, the consciousness or Brahman is same in both, in Jiva and Ishvara, well, but the containers, that's called Upadi, containers are different and therefore I appear differently. So like when in Ahmedabad there is one mirror room, very very funny, and if you go into that room, all the mirrors are there, but of a different types, concave and convex and all that. And when you stand in the middle of the room, then your all reflections will be there. But depending upon the Upadi, depending upon this mirror, you will definitely have, you will look little differently. And I don't remember, but in one of the mirror, concave or a convex mirror, my face was looking very long. Even though I keep on laughing, But my face was like long face. Long face means you understand, it's a sorrowful person. When person becomes a sorrowful, I think his chin gets dropped or whatever. Like that. So, and I was laughing, but it was all looking like that. So my version, a distorted version, please understand, my distorted version appears. I am not distorted, sir. I am laughing. I am smiling at you. But then my distorted version, a sorrowful face, appears due to what? Due to mirror. That's called upadhi. In other mirror, the belly was looking like big belly. And so my legs became short and belly becomes big and face became also like a pot, pot kind of a thing. So all this kind of a thing, very, very funny things. You keep on laughing. Look at all this through different upadhis, all distorted versions of yourself. One mirror was such, and I remember that legs were so long and the other part of the body becomes very, very small. All these things. So Jiva Upadhi also is basically Brahman now, is like me standing in the mirror, and there are Upadhis, mirrors are like Upadhis, same way. There is a Brahman also have a distortion now with inferior attributes, and that is called Jiva. And there is a Brahman also with a superior attributes. It's a distortion only, but with the superior attributes, and it's called Ishvara Upadhi. So I, Brahman, which is attributeless, now appear as with two types of attributes. One is Brahman appears with inferior attributes called Jiva Upadhi. Brahman appears with a superior attributes. Well, he is a Ishvara Upadhi. He is a master. Jiva is a dasa, servant. So or worshipper, worshipped, you can say, that kind of a thing. Division has started now. So Jiva and Ishvara, that division has started. Due to Upadhi, there is no division actually, there is no Veda. But due to Upadhi, two these appearances have been there. So even though I am a one person, but number of mirrors are suppose 10, then I appear as 10. And that to all 10 are different. And all the 10 are, I am very distinct from all the 10. Could you follow? And therefore really I am the Brahman which is distinct from even Jiva and Ishvara. Essentially I am Brahman, which does not have a Jivatvam, does not have a Ishvaratvam also. And so, if somebody asks you, is there a difference between Jiva and Ishvara or not? Well, you should not answer the question. You should ask from which standpoint are you asking me? Well, because there are standpoints. From a Vyavaharik standpoint, well, there is a difference between the two. One is a worshipper, Jiva is a worshipper and Ishvara is a worshipped, etc. etc. Jiva is a dasa, Ishvara is a Swami, etc. etc. One is a karma phala, one is one has a begging bowl, and that he is asking for artha, kama, dharma, everything, and including moksha also. Well, for moksha also I can pray. And the other one is a data. He is the one who one who showers the grace on you. So basically, this kind of division has apparent division. So that is how I call Upadhi as a costume. I am a non-dual. There is no second eye. We have seen that, because there is no other object at all. There is no other thing to limit object-wise limitation. There is no other thing at all. And therefore, but still, with these Upadhis, definitely Brahman appears in these two costumes, and then there is a drama between these two. And others also, like Guru, Shishya, etc. also will be there. So all are basically, both are Brahman, but they appear in two different. Brahman appears in Guru form and Shishya form. So if Brahman is both Guru and Shishya, then all the time Shishya do prostration to Guru. Then one day, for the sake of change, just for a change, can I tell to my Guru that you should do Namaskara to me or not? That kind of a thing. Well, don't do that. Why? Because everything is ultimately Advaitam. That's a reality. And therefore, the Gurutva, the Guruhood Teacherhood is also mithya, and shishyahood, studenthood also is mithya. Like you are saying, Jiva and Ishvara both are mithya. Ultimately, that is Brahman. And therefore, well, both are mithya. Then ultimately, can I tell him that for a change, one day you do namaskara to me? Advaitam trishu lokeshu. Before that it says, bhavadvaitam sada kuryat kriyadvaitam na karhichit. Advaitam trishu lokeshu na advaitam guruna saha. Well, even for the sake of saying also, don't do this Advaitam, non-duality with the teacher, etc. Same way with Ishvara, etc. Why? Why should I do? Because do in Vyavahara, because he has given you the knowledge. Either Ishvara or either Guru. Ishvara Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Ultimately, in form of a teacher or in form of a Ishvara, the Dakshinamurti has given you the knowledge. And therefore in Vyavahara, to say thank you, this is to be done. So don't do that. Bhavadvaitam is okay. Bhavadvaitam means, in reality. Bhava means here the jnanam. Bhava advaitam kuryat. That is possible, and that is to be done. But kriya advaitam na karhichit. Kriya advaitam in form of karma. Well, you have to prostrate to Ishvara or a Guru, etc. There you don't say, well, let him prostrate to me because I am also Brahman and he is also Brahman, etc. Don't do that. So, that is, from verse number 37 to 42, now this drama of Brahman taking two different roles has been described. So, up to this point, up to verse number 36, we discussed Paramarthik Brahma, and now this Jiva, Ishwar, Bheda, etc. we will be discussing. Verse number 37 to 42. It's an incidental topic actually. It's not part of, it is not there in a Brahmanand Valli in Taittiriya. But here Vidyaranya feels that I should talk about it. Okay, so in verse number 37 it says, Yad Brahma Satyam Jnanam Anantam Tad Vastu. Brahman, that is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that is the Vastu, means that is the reality. And then Tasya Tad Bhavati, Tasya Tat Ishwaratvam, etc. Tasya means for the one and the same Vastu. For that Brahman, there are two Vyavarika manifestations, Ishwaratvam, Jivatvam, Upadhi Dvayam Kalpitam. There are two, Upadhi Dvayam means these two are Vyavarika manifestations, empirical manifestations. Normally we say three, Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara. But here Vidyaranya does not take Jagat into account, and therefore there is, he says there is twofold Vyavarik manifestation, Ishwaratvam, Jivatvam. So Jivahood, Tvam means ness actually, so individual and the total. Karanam and Karyam, you can say that way also. Karana status is also Mithya, Karya status also is Mithya. Brahman is not a Karyam, Brahman is not a Karanam also. So Brahman is not a product, Brahman is not a cause, Brahman is not a, we have seen that. In Mundaka also, Upanishad also it came. It said, that is how, I think yesterday only I told you, it's a Tatasya Lakshanam. So it's an incidental attribute. We actually superimpose the causal status on Brahman, and therefore it is not. Since you say this is a creation, well, we say then there is a creator, etc. And then there is a material cause also, etc. But it is, Brahman is basically Karya Karana Vilakshanam. Brahman is well distinct from Karanam and Karyam. So, but then from where this all, this expression came, Karanam, Karyam and Jiva and Ishvara, because of Upadhi. We have used earlier also another word for that, and that is reflecting medium. That way also you can say. Consciousness of Brahman manifest, and consciousness manifest in buddhi becomes conscious being, you can say. Consciousness manifest in the subtle body becomes conscious being called Jiva. So Jiva is born of Brahman. Now you can understand. Jiva is really not born, but basically Jiva is a Karyam, Brahman is Karanam. How? Actually consciousness manifests in the buddhi. What is born is a subtle body. What is born is a subtle body. Not Jiva is born. When the subtle body is born from Maya, through elements you know very well, Panchatanmatra, etc., through subtle elements, then same consciousness which is all pervading manifests in that. And then, well, that conscious subtle body. Now the subtle body is, with the borrowed consciousness become subtle, become conscious. And that conscious subtle body, is called Jiva. And then of course gross body also is included, and the subtle body pervades this gross body, and therefore when you say Jiva, we include even gross body also. So anyway, this is all through manifestation of a consciousness. When consciousness manifests, that it appears as a conscious being through that subtle body, through the buddhi, through intellect, etc. And therefore we say Jiva is born of Ishvara, etc. Jiva is born of Brahman. That way it is a Karyam and Brahman is Karma. Jagat also is the same way. Jagat also is born in the same fashion. But of course here we are taking only two upadhis, Jivatvam and Ishvaratvam. And so consciousness with Shariratraya upadhi, you can say, is basically Shariratraya means Karana Shariram, Sukshma Shariram and the Sthula Shariram. And that is Jiva. That upadhi, Shariratraya upadhi, consciousness manifests through Shariratraya, threefold bodies, we call is Jiva. And Prapanchatrayam, consciousness manifests through this Prapanchatrayam, Sthula Prapancha, entire gross universe, and cosmos, and then subtle universe, etc., and the causal universe through Maya, etc. So through Prapanchatrayam he is called Ishvara. Consciousness, Brahman alone is called Ishvara. Through Shariratrayam, that consciousness is called Jiva. And this Prapanchatrayam or Shariratrayam are upadhis. Actually Brahman is free from all. That is how in Mandukya, it is in the third verse, third mantra or fourth mantra. Nantah prajnam, bahish prajnam, na ubhayatah prajnam, no prajnam, na prajnam, etc., etc. So there, all these are negated. All prapancha are negated, bodies are negated, etc. Everything is negated in that mantra. And then it is said that it is turiyam, etc. That's the word is used there. So upadhi dvaya kalpitam. So this jivattam and ishvarattam is kalpitam. Well, definitely, because Brahman is really not a jiva or ishvara. Through upadhi appears like that. So whatever number of muktatmas were there in that mirrors, they are kalpitam naturally through that upadhi called mirrors. That is not reality. Reality is only one, and that is myself. So like that it is. Verse number 38. Shaktiraste Ishwari Kachite Sarvavastu Niyamika Anandamayam Gudha Sarveshu Vastushu. So now he talks about Ishvara Upadhi, which makes Brahman as a Ishvara, which makes, let's say which makes Brahman, Brahman appears as Ishvara. Makes also is not correct word. Brahman appears as a Ishvara due to this Upadhi. That is Prapanchatrayam, etc. or Maya Upadhi we can say. Wait a minute. You are saying Prapanchatrayam and means the gross universe and then subtle universe and then causal universe. And now you say Maya Upadhi? Well, because Prapanchatrayam means that actually it is Maya only. The gross plus subtle universe is nothing but the manifestation of Maya. We have already seen this. Manifestation of the Maya is called Jagat. And when the universe resolves, it is called Maya. Universe resolves into its cause. That's called causal universe. So the entire universe comes to the causal state, unmanifestation, unmanifest state. That's called Maya. So either may I say Maya Upadhi or I say Prapanchatrayam. It is one and the same thing. That causal universe or the causal state, definitely, or unmanifest state, definitely gets manifestation. That is subtle world, subtle universe and gross universe. And therefore, it is same thing. Either I say Prapanchatrayam or either I say Maya. It is same thing. He takes, Vidyaranya takes it as a Maya Upadhi. And basically, so now verse number 38, 39 and 40. He is going to talk about this Ishvara. Through that Maya Upadhi, etc., Brahman manifest, and that is called Ishvara. He is talking about that. Kachit Aishwari Shakti Asti. There is Aishwari Shakti. Ishvara Sambandhini Aishwari. Ishvara Sambandhi Aishwaryam. And Ishvara Sambandhini Aishwari. So because it is feminine, Maya, and therefore they are using like this. So there is some divine power. Some divine power. Kachit means what? Why he is saying like that? There is some divine power. Because it cannot be defined. It cannot be defined. That is how it is saying. Yeah, it is anirvachaniya. Sat, whether it is there, we have already discussed, and so you might have forgotten, that's another thing. But we have discussed about Maya at several places and understood that it is basically anirvachaniya, which cannot be definable, and which cannot be called Sat, which cannot be called Asat. Some power is there, some divine power Ishvara has, Brahman has, through which he is called Ishvara. What does it do? It is controller of all the things in creation through three gunas. Sarveshu vastushu guda. This Shakti is hidden in all the beings. And from where? So Anandamayam Arabhya, beginning from Anandamaya. It has to start from Annamaya. No, it will start from Anandamaya, because it is the most intimate, it is, it's the most proximate to Brahman, right? And therefore, it is, that's how it says, Anandamayam Arabhya, up to Annamaya. All the Panchakoshas and even whole world is controlled by this Shakti called Maya, which is a divine power and which is anirvachaniya, and that Shakti Ishvara Brahman has in the Mithya, definitely Mithya Shakti, but Brahman is beginningless. This Shakti also is beginningless. That's all. Not that Shakti from somewhere it came and joined with the Brahman. That's not there. That is not there. And therefore, if Shakti comes independently and flying, and then if it is independent existent, where is telling it as a Mithya? Mithya means non-separate, which has a borrowed existence. And therefore, that is there from beginning, from the day Brahman is. You cannot say like that, from the day Brahman is. Anyway, so from beginningless, it is also beginningless. That is the Shakti which controls the entire universe through its gunas. Everything is made up of guna. Everything is made up of guna. And so through gunas, he controls. That's how Ishvara becomes controller. We'll see that in 39. Vastu dharma niyamyeran shaktya naiva yada tada anyonya dharma sankaryad viplaveta jagat khalu. So that there is a Shakti controlling the universe is proved by a harmonious and consistent behavior of everything in the creation. Everything is doing a thing which it is supposed to do. That's all. That shows there is a controller. It is controlled by laws. Everything, starting from atom particles and even nanoparticles and whatever, subatomic particles and whatever is there, it's all controlled. Whatever they are supposed to do, they do. And that is how science is possible. Otherwise, science will not be possible. Science discovers even atomic physics or anything, quantum physics or what, they have certain laws. Laws is nothing but revealing the nature of the things in the creation. And if that law keeps on changing, when atom behaves one day, today in a one way, and tomorrow in another way, and then third day some third way, then the science would not have been possible. By the time they make a law, and sometime from that law, our technologists make machines also, using the laws of the science which science has discovered. They make many machines, and therefore everything is controlled. A cosmic object, or it may be the smallest object. Everything. Maybe a sun. That's how you are able to even predict all eclipses which are going to occur in 100 years from now. You can predict. There is no problem. You may not predict, that's a different thing. They even, I saw one column in one English daily, I think in Ahmedabad, they used to give, after 100 years, exactly after 100 years, right? Today is suppose 7th November. Then 7th November 2120. At what time there will be a sunrise? They are able to predict. That shows that sun is going to behave exactly what it is behaving right now. So from there you calculate whole thing. Therefore everything is under control. Everything is under control. And therefore vastu dharmaha, yada vastu dharmaha shaktya niyamena. Vastu dharma means all this, all the attributes of varieties of the things in the creation. Shaktya, by this maya, na niyamena. If it is so that they are not controlled, means today eyes are seeing. Tomorrow morning when you get up, eyes are able to hear and ears are able to see. There will be what? What will be there? Let it be like that. It's a nice change, All the day, 60 years, these eyes are all seeing and seeing and seeing. They will also feel some change when they start listening to the things. The words are heard by the eyes and forms are seen by the ears. That would be a beautiful thing. Don't say that this world will not be a cosmos then. It will be a chaos. And therefore it is viplaveranya, anyonya dharma sankaryat. Well, all properties get mixed up and think the heart is doing right now what it is doing. Tomorrow it starts some function of kidney, and kidney starts function of a brain. Our brain starts function of a heart. And so blood goes there and I don't know what. It's all viplavam. Viplavam means basically it's a chaos. But one thing which is designed for a certain function. Heart is a pump and it has to pump the blood. For 70 years, it's amazing. This pump works for 70 years. No pump in the world works. And without any energy it works. Without any energy it keeps on pumping the blood. Taking away, sending out and then taking in and whatever. I don't know much function. But it is in order. That much I know. That much. Anyway, so anyonya dharma sankaryat. Otherwise, if vastu dharma shaktya na niyammeran, if they are not controlled, suppose, all these things happen, jagat khalu viplaveta, then it won't be a cosmos but a chaos. But things behave. There is a universal harmony. We are able to predict everything. There are laws. That's how science is possible, because there is a Shakti, because there is a Ishvara, because Brahman doesn't control anything. Brahman does not control anything. Why? Brahman does not control anything? Because there is nothing to be controlled. There is no second thing. What will it control? There is no second thing at all. And therefore Brahman has nothing to control, because there is nothing other than Brahman. But Ishvara has to control. Therefore Brahman plus Shakti becomes Ishvara, controller. There is another word in Vedanta, that is Antaryami. There is a big Brahmana in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Antaryami Brahmana. And so same meaning. Antaryami and Ishvara is the same meaning. Isha Dhatu also is in the sense of ruling. And Varach Pratyaya is there because it's a Santata Bhava, means Satatyam. So he rules, controls. Any controller can control for 4 years, right? He controls a particular country for 4 years. Well, he has to go. And that is how no ruler is a ever ruler except Ishvara. Ishvara is a ruler forever. That Varach Pratyaya indicates that. That's how one of the name of Ishvara is Anishvaraya Namaha. One of the name of Ishvara is Anishvara. Why? Because na Ishvaraha vidyate yasya saha Anishvaraha. Because there is no Ishvara of Ishvara. Otherwise he will be ruled. This ruler is a ruler. All forever. Everything in the creation, beautiful description is there in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Everything in the creation is a ruler and ruled. And that is very clear. Even in a family we find so-called that person, now he is so-called ruler actually. And he is ruled by all family members, including wife. And therefore basically all are ruler and ruled, both. Ishvara is a ruler forever. To indicate that is Varach Pratyaya, Ish plus Vara. Bhaswara, Nashwara, etc. All these are formed like that. Anyway, so Shakti is there. With that Shakti, there is a Antaryami. Antasan Yamayati iti Antaryami. And Antasan Yamayati, Niyamayati. Being inside, it controls everything. And therefore, this is controlled not by external thing. It is controlled from within. So it behaves in a certain way. And it cannot behave in other way. Well, there is no controller outside. When it has some rains and it tries to control. It is controlled by from within. So Antasan Yamayati. Everything is controlled by ultimately three gunas. And so, so that is Brahman along with these three gunas, that is Maya, controls the whole universe. And everything is in order. Let's go to verse 40. Chichaya veshata shaktihi chetaneva vibhati sa tat shaktipadi sanyogat brahmaiveshwaratam vrajet. So even though Maya Shakti has got all these powers, the Shakti is is inert in itself, like energy is as much as inert as matter, of course. Same way the Shakti also is Jadam. So if Maya Shakti functions well, if it is able to control properly, intelligently, then it must be behaving like a conscious entity. Therefore it must have a borrowed consciousness, because Maya is Jadam. Therefore it says Chichaya Aveshatah. Because of entry of this consciousness, entry of a reflected consciousness, Sa Shaktihi Chetana Iva Vibhati. It appears sentient. So just as inert car runs intelligently because of a driver, so same way consciousness manifests in that Maya. And that is how Maya with the borrowed consciousness works and that itself is Ishvara. Consciousness, Chit-chaya. Chit-chaya means Chid Abhasa. So that Chidabhasa formed in the Maya, it is Ishvara. And therefore, Chit-chaya Aveshataha. Aveshataha means, Avesha means an entry. So formation of a Chidabhasa. Basically, it is what? Avesha plus or Nivesha, either have the same meaning, called entry. And when consciousness basically manifest in that Maya, is called entry of a consciousness. That is how we have a Pravesha Shruti. Avesha, Nivesha, Pravesha. There are so many, most of the Upanishad, there is a Pravesha Shruti. Brahman entered. Having created the Jagat, Brahman entered. That is nothing entry. Where it is all pervasive, where it is going to enter. And that all the things are just non-separate from it. But when all these things through Maya, when they are created, Brahman manifests there. That is called Avesha, Pravesha, Nivesha, etc. And then, that wherever it manifests, that thing, appears conscious. I just told you, subtle body is there. When it is created from Maya, definitely Brahman manifests there. We can call Brahman entered into the mind, etc. But that conscious, the subtle body appears conscious. So that is how, that is Ishvara. Maya, have the Chidabhasa. That is called Ishvara. Maya plus this Chidabhasa, is called Ishvara. But that, of course, original consciousness is definitely there. Without consciousness, how the Chidabhasa can be found? So, these three things we can say. We have seen that in Tattvabodha. In Panchadasi also it came. In the first chapter, In the first chapter we have discussed this. So Brahman, Ishvara is nothing but this consciousness plus reflected consciousness plus Maya. Maya is a medium, Upadhi, etc. So, Tat Shakti Upadhi Sanyogat, because of association with this Shakti, which is Upadhi of it, through a medium of it, Brahma eva Ishvaratam Rajed, that Brahman is, Ishvaratam Rajed, Brahman is called Ishvara. And Maya and Chidabhasa possible on account of Brahman ultimately, but because they are non-separate, but consciousness or Brahman manifests in that, and that is called Ishvara. And that Shakti, which is now conscious entity, which is called Ishvara, it's an intelligent entity, and that is how it controls the entire universe. Verse 41. Koshopadi vivakshayam yati brahmaiva jivatam Pita pitaham pita pitamahaschaikah putra pautro yatha pratim. Well, same Brahman looked through this miserable body. Now story of Jiva is told. What is Ishvara has been told. Now story of Jiva has been told here. That same Brahman, when it is looked upon this Upadhi, this Kosha, well, it is called Chida, well, that is called Jivaha. So Chidabhasa Sahita Kosha Upadhi, Drashtya Vivakshayam means Drashtya, from that standpoint of this Panchakoshas. Same Brahman manifest in this Panchakoshas is called Jiva. Same Brahman manifest in Maya Upadhi, well, is called, or Shakti, is called Ishvara. So Brahman gets a status of a Jiva. So Isha Jivayoho Veshadhi Bida Satsabhavato Vastu Kevalam. You know, in Upadesha Saram also, Ramana Maharshi told the same thing. Isha Jivayoho Veshaha Dhi Bida Satsabhavata. Ultimately it is Satsabhava, means it is Brahman, and that is one thing. Vastu Kevalam, it is one Vastu alone, appears in these two costumes. So question will be, well, how come one and the same Brahman well has two, you know, personalities, totally opposite personalities, diagonally opposite, like a bipolar. So you kind of, well, Brahman has become what? Well, Vidyaranya says, well, one person, one person alone can be in a two opposite roles, and that is, one person alone will be a father also, and he can be a son also. Then it from different standpoint. Pita pitamaha cha ekah. Well, he says here a little differently. One and the same person can be a father and grandfather also. That he takes a little differently. How? Putra pautro prati. Putra pautra, from the standpoint of prati, means from the standpoint of son, well, he is a father. From the standpoint of a grandson, he is a grandfather. Same person. And so, well, that is how one person alone can appear in as a father and grandfather, well, differently, but it is due to from two different standpoints, from the son standpoint and from the grandson standpoint. Let's go to 42. So yatha prati means respectively. You have to take it that way. Yatha prati means kramat, respectively. So pita from the standpoint of putra, and pitamaha from the standpoint of pautra. Verse 42. Putradera vivakshayam na pitamaha tadvannesho napi jivaha shakti kosha vivakshane. Vidyaranya says, if you remove this son and grandson, then that person will go away, vanish or not? No, because these are the statuses, apekshikam. So if this person will remain, even if the son or the grandson won't be there, the person will remain. Of course, Pita and Pitamaha status would go away, but the person will remain. Same way, Putradehe, means he says here, Putradehe avivakshayam, when Putra Pautra are not intended, they are not there, na Pita, na Pitamaha. Well, the Pita will not be there, Pitamaha, that status won't be there, but the person would be there. Like after removing concave and convex mirrors, etc., well, those reflections won't be there, the distorted versions won't be there, but I would be there. Tadva Shakti Kosha Avivakshane. So Samashti Upadhi and Veshti Upadhi are taken off, then definitely na Ishaha, napi Jivaha. There is neither Jiva nor Ishvara. Both are Mithya. Therefore, the Satyam would be right there, right? Once you remove that costume, the actor would be right there. Oh, that's a beggar has gone, Swamiji. King has gone. That's correct. But that's a Vesha has gone. But that person would remain who has taken the costume. So that drama is over, and therefore he has removed the Vesha. So both are Mithya, Brahman is Satyam. So with this Vyavarika roles, well, of the Brahman, he concludes. Now he gives a Falashruti in the last shloka. Ya evam brahma vedaishaha brahmaiva bhavati swayam brahmano nasti janmatah punaresha na jayate. Very clear, right? Ya evam brahma veda vijanati, one who knows this Brahman. Evam means in this manner. The way we describe with these four features. Brahman is distinct from Panchakoshas, and Brahman is the very witness and residing in Panchakoshas, that Brahman which is Atma, that Brahman which is having a Lakshanam, Sarupa Lakshanam as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. One who knows Brahman in this manner, Brahma eva swayam bhavati, well, he becomes Brahman because he is the Atma. Therefore, so what? So what? After studying, what I am going to get? Brahmanaha nasti janma. That Brahman which you have studied, that Brahman does not have a janma, and that Brahman you know as yourself, because you will become Brahman, and therefore you won't have a janma. Okay, after knowing Brahma, I won't have a punarjanma. No, sir. If it's not that's not correct. Brahman does not have a first birth itself, and that Brahman you are means it don't talk about rebirth. You were not born before also. You had not born at all. Because of the identification with the body, you are thinking that you are taking birth. Varieties of the previous births are there, etc. You are not even having a first birth. Okay? And therefore, well, I was never born, that you will know. Not that I won't, Swamiji, I will not reborn now. Don't say. Means earlier I was born. Well, that is not correct. You are never born. That is Brahman and that is you. So you get Jivan Mukti as well as Videya Mukti also. Atahesha Jnani Punaha na Jayate. Therefore Jnani will not, one who knows this, wise person, one who is no more ignorant of oneself, that I am nothing but Brahman. Well, all other things are just my roles. Whenever you add I am, and you have to add because you are going to transact with the world, which is having all the names and forms. So you have to transact with the name and form. Oh, I am free from name and form. Then you cannot function at all. So identify with a particular role and do a drama. That's how, just as an actor identify with a particular costume, you also identify with this body, etc. Panchakosha, which is a costume, which is a upadhi, and do the transaction. But in your understanding, you are free from Panchakoshas. You are Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. With this, the third chapter is over. Monday I will give you a summary. By the way, I would like to tell you also, on Tuesday we won't have any class. Both the classes won't be there on Tuesday. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.